I've had this for a bit now, and a few people ask me about it, so here is my take. This is an electric bike built for someone like me who wants one bike that can handle daily riding on rough streets, but also feels comfortable taking onto dirt paths and uneven trails without feeling fragile. It is not the kind of bike I would recommend if you have to carry your bike upstairs every day, or if you need something you can lift into a car by yourself without thinking about it. This one is heavy in a very real way, and you notice that before you even ride it. The reason I was curious about it is simple. It is a folding fat tire electric bike with full suspension and power coming from both wheels. In normal riding, that combination changes how the bike feels under you. Not in a magical way, just in a practical way. It feels planted, it feels like it can take hits from broken pavement, and it does not get overwhelmed the moment the surface turns loose or bumpy. In person, the bike looks tough. The frame is thick, the welds look clean, and nothing on it feels dainty. The fat tires are 26 inches and they are about 4 inches wide. That size matters because it affects everything. It adds stability, it adds grip, and it also adds weight and rolling resistance. When I am riding on cracked roads or cutting through a park on a dirt path, I like the way those tires take the edge off. When I am trying to move the bike around in a tight hallway, I do not like the way those same tires make it feel bulky. The folding frame is real and it works, but I want to be honest about how folding actually fits into daily life with a bike like this. Yes, it folds. No, I do not find myself casually folding it and carrying it around. I fold it when I need to fit it in a tighter space or when I am storing it, but the weight is still the weight. Mine is around 87 pounds. If you are thinking you will fold it and lift it into a trunk like a light commuter bike, that is not the experience here. Putting it together was not stressful, but it is not a 1-minute thing either. It arrived mostly assembled. I had to finish the usual stuff like getting the front end sorted, checking bolts, adjusting a few things, and making sure everything was aligned. The tools in the box were enough to get rolling, but I still went back with my own tools to make sure everything was properly tight. On the first ride, I also rechecked the important bolts after a few miles, because on a heavy bike with suspension, things can settle in a little. Once I started riding it, the full suspension was the first thing I appreciated. It has shock absorption at the front and at the rear, and that helps on the kind of surfaces I ride every week. I have a commute with potholes, patched asphalt, and random broken sections near intersections. On a rigid bike, that stuff gets tiring. On this one, the bike stays calmer, and my body feels less beat up at the end of a longer ride. Off-road, it helps keep traction because the wheels stay in contact more consistently, especially when the trail gets choppy. Now let us talk about the power, because that is the part you need to respect. This bike uses dual motors, and together they are rated at 2,000 watts. In real life, what that means is the throttle response can feel immediate. The first time I used the throttle from a stop, it surprised me. It does not slowly ease you into motion the way some lower power electric bikes do. It pushes forward right away. After I got used to it, I started to like it, but I also adjusted how I ride in traffic. I give myself more space. I use the pedal assist more often than just snapping the throttle. If you are new to high-power electric bikes, you will want to practice somewhere open before you rely on it in busy areas. On hills, the dual motor setup is where I felt the difference the most. There is a long incline near me that usually makes single motor bikes slow down unless I am really helping with my legs. On the X3 Pro, I can keep a steady pace without feeling like the bike is struggling. The all-wheel drive feeling also helps on loose surfaces. I have ridden it on gravel and on hard packed dirt with sand scattered on top, and the front wheel pulling as well as the rear makes it feel less likely to slip when I accelerate. The battery on mine is a 48-volt, 20-amp-hour removable pack that sits inside the frame. In daily use, I care about two things: how long it lasts between charges and whether it is annoying to charge. The range depends a lot on how you ride. If I am using a lot of throttle and riding fast, the battery drops noticeably quicker. If I am using pedal assist and cruising at a more reasonable pace, it lasts much longer. The claimed range is very high, up to 102 miles, but I treat numbers like that as a best case. In my real riding, I was able to commute for multiple days and do errands without charging every night, which is the practical win. I also like that I can remove the battery and bring it inside, and it locks in place, which gives some peace of mind when the bike is parked. One small thing I noticed, and I want to mention it because it is the kind of detail you only catch after living with the bike, is that on rougher sections I sometimes hear a little bit of battery movement inside the frame. It is not constant, and it has not caused any issue for me, but if you are sensitive to rattles, you might notice it. When I slowed down and hit the same bumps again, I could reproduce it. For me, it falls into the category of minor annoyance, not a deal breaker. The brakes are hydraulic disc brakes, and they matter on a bike that can move like this. The stopping power feels controlled and strong, and I do not get that hand fatigue you sometimes feel with basic cable brakes. I have done a few longer downhill sections where cheaper brakes can start to feel less consistent, and these stayed predictable. There is also regenerative braking. I do not feel it adding a massive amount of range, but I do like the feeling of extra control when slowing down, and if it adds a little efficiency over time, I will take it. The display is a full color screen, and it is easy to read while riding. What I actually use it for is speed, battery level, and checking how much assistance I am using. The brightness adjustment has been helpful because I ride in full sun and also near dusk. I did not have to fight glare as much as I expected. There is also a phone app connection. I usually do not care about apps on bikes, but I ended up using it more than I thought. It is useful for checking ride stats and setting certain limits. I also tried the locking feature, and while I still use a physical lock because I do not trust software alone, it is a nice extra layer. The app experience felt straightforward, not something I had to babysit. In everyday riding, the seat is comfortable enough for longer sessions. The rear rack is genuinely useful. I have carried groceries on it and it feels stable. The bike is rated to carry up to 400 pounds total, and while I am not pushing that limit, it does explain why the frame feels so solid. It is built to handle more than just a light rider with an empty backpack. There are a few things that bug me. The weight is the big one. Even with the foldable frame, this is not a bike I would want to haul upstairs. Another issue is that the throttle can be a little too eager if you are not paying attention, especially when starting from a stop or when making a tight turn. It is manageable, but it requires a little discipline. I also wish there were an obvious place to mount a water bottle. It is a small, everyday convenience, and I missed it more than I expected on longer rides. The manual also felt a bit light. I figured things out, but I can see a brand new rider wanting clearer guidance. So after living with it, here is how I sum it up. The Wallke X3 Pro makes sense for someone who wants a powerful electric bike that feels stable on bad roads, can handle mixed terrain, and does not mind dealing with a heavy frame. It is comfortable, it feels solid, and it gives me the confidence to take routes I would normally avoid on a lighter bike. The trade-off is that it is not graceful to move around when you are not riding it, and the power delivery asks you to ride with some care. If you have questions about anything I did not cover, or you want to know how it holds up over a longer period, leave a comment, and I will do my best to answer based on what I have actually experienced. If this video helped, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment. Thank you for watching.